Dear students, I have come to the last module of Sale of Goods Act 1930. This is performance of contract, that is buyer's rights against the seller. We have seen seller's rights and seller's duties. There are two parties to a contract of sale. One is buyer, one is seller. So in the case of buyer also, buyer has got certain rights and buyer has got certain duties against the seller. That is what we are going to see in this module. Now, buyer's rights against the seller. One is right to have delivery as per the contract. Whatever things he has ordered. See, when you order something, even if it's fresh vegetables, fish, meat, anything, that delivery slot we can decide. So it's his right, buyer's right to get that item delivered as per the slot. So this condition is given as per sections 31 and 32 of the Sale of Goods Act 1930. This is the first right of the buyer. Second is right to reject the goods. See, as per section 37 of the Sale of Goods Act 1930, if the seller sends the buyer a larger or smaller quantity. See, for example, I ordered for 2 kilos of onion, but I am getting only one. Onion shortage was there. He is telling after some time he will send it. I got the right to reject the entire lot or accept that. So either I will accept that 1 kilo and I will wait for the another 1 kilo to get after some time. Or I can reject that. I can tell that I am going to reject that. I am not going to accept this. So accept the quantity ordered or reject the rest. So whatever is the option is with the buyer. I can decide whether I want to accept it as part delivery or I want to reject that entire lot. Third right is right to repudiate. The buyer has to right to reject the goods if the goods are sent as installments. I am asking for the whole lot to be sent to me, but the seller is sending in installment by installment unless otherwise agreed on. See, some cases we will accept that installment by installment delivery is possible, but I am asking for entire lot to be delivered. Then I am expecting the delivery slot also or the item to be delivered as the entire lot only, not by installment. So this is as per section 38 subsection 1 of the Sale of Goods Act 1930. Now fourth is right of notice of insurance. So this is very important when you're sending goods from one place to another, one state to another, one country to another, by road, rail, by flight or anything, sea route, anything. So insurance will give risk of loss is there. So if anything happens, insurance company can compensate. So as per section 39, subsection 3 of the Sale of Goods Act 1930, if goods are sent by sea route, buyer should be informed by the seller so that buyer can get the goods insured, because in the case of sea route, risk is more. Now, right to examine. As per section 41 subsection 1 of the Sale of Goods Act 1930, buyer has the right to examine the goods. See, imagine a university is ordering stationery. It will be quite a lot of stuff they are getting. So the concerned officials got the right to examine that item if not previously examined. One option is when they are making the purchase itself, they will examine that. If it is not, when they are getting the delivery. So place of where they can examine. Now that is the question. Place of delivery is the place of examination. In the case of university, items are delivered to the university campus. That meaning university campus is the place of examination. So even after seller giving the opportunity to examine the goods, buyer refuses to do so. Now this can also happen. Seller is requesting, please take the item, check the item, but buyer refuses to do so. Then buyer cannot later reject the goods. That is, at the time of delivery, he has to examine. If he does so, seller can claim damages. If later stage, that seller is giving the option, buyer is not utilizing, he is not checking the item, he is not examining the item, but later buyer is telling that I am rejecting that because it's not as per the which I ordered or requested, which I placed the order. But the seller has got every right to sue for damages. Now, right against the seller for breach of contract. So, breach of contract, if seller is not completing the contract on time. So, here suit for damages. This is as per section 57 of the Sale of Goods Act. That is, if the seller refuses to deliver goods to the buyer. Now, he has to calculate the damages. How the damages are calculated? Damages is equal to contract price minus market price. That day's market price we have to take. Now, suit for price. Suit for price is See, one is suit for damages, second is suit for price. If the buyer has paid the price and goods are not delivered, the buyer has got the right to return the price from the seller. Buyer can sue for the price from the seller because he has already paid for that, but he has not got the item. Next is suit for performance. If damages are not adequate remedy, he can ask for performance. See, certain cases, actually the contract has to be fulfilled by that. See, in some cases, see if it's a special items we are placing an order, nobody can do that. The buyer waited for that. So that meaning that he has to perform the contract. Buyer can insist that that contract has to be performed. Next is suit for breach of warranty. See, buyer got the item, but warranty is not fulfilled. Buyer can file suit for damages. But if the buyer has not paid for the price, he may ask the seller for price. Whatever warranty he has expected from the product purchased as a buyer, if it's not fulfilled, one option is he can sue for damages if he has paid for the price. Imagine if he has not paid for the price, still the payment is due to the seller, part payment is made, then the buyer can insist for reduction in price from the seller. Now, suit for repudiation of the contract for breach of condition. First is, we have seen if warranty is not fulfilled, what will be the condition. Second is, if condition is not fulfilled. We know that conditions and warranties are essential in a contract of sale of goods. Conditions are getting more importance because that is the root for which the sale is made or the sale of contract. This is an essential condition to be fulfilled. So if condition is not fulfilled, buyer can cancel the contract. Say for example, a car is purchased based on the mileage. That's a condition, but that is not fulfilled. Buyer has got every right to cancel the contract. Now, suit for recovery of price together with interest. So not only price and interest. This is as per section 61. So that is, if the goods are not delivered, the item or the item is a stolen one, seller is not the actual owner, buyer can sue for interest at the reasonable rate from the date of payment to the date of refund, whenever they are giving the refund. So that is the suit for recovery of price together with interest. Now, repudiation of the contract before due date. This is as per section 60 of the Sale of Goods Act. This condition is applicable if seller rejects the contracts before the date of delivery. Seller rejects that. Buyer has two options. Next is, buyer can wait as the contract is subsisting till the date of delivery. Buyer can wait whether the seller will fulfill on the date of contract. Or buyer can treat the contract as rejected and sue for damages for breach of contract. So buyer is waiting for the date of contract, seller is not fulfilling, the buyer is taking legal action. Sue for damages for breach of contract. This rule is known as rule of anticipatory breach of contract. Buyer is expecting that seller is not going to fulfill the contract because from the seller's attitude or whatever seller arrangement is made by the seller, buyer is clear that he is not going to fulfill the contract. So he is waiting for anticipatory breach of contract. On the date of contract, he will take the proper action. Now we'll come to the last topic. What are the duties of the buyer? If buyer has got certain rights, rights always comes with duties. Buyer has to fulfill certain duties. One is duty to accept the goods and pay for them in exchange of possession. So that is very important. Buyer has to accept the goods. Second is duty to apply for delivery. Whatever the slot you can decide, or he can call and inform your convenient time of delivery. Third is duty to demand delivery at reasonable hour. If it's an official delivery, that meaning if your items are to be delivered to a company during business hours, it's important. See, for example, if an item to be delivered to the house, that meaning early morning hours. See, morning hours, it's not possible to disturb somebody, or late night hours. So we have to see the convenience of the buyer. Usually what we do, we will give our choice of time, what time it can be delivered. Next is duty to accept installment delivery and pay for it. If you are not if the buyer is not accepting the item as one slot, he can request for installment delivery and pay for that installment, whatever that is due. Next is duty to take risk of deterioration. Some items, usually eatables, cockroach can eat, ants can eat, rats can eat. So item will get reduced, especially sugar, jaggery and all. So the buyer has to accept that deterioration is there in certain cases. Next is duty to inform the seller if he rejects the goods. If you buy something online, if you are not happy with that, we are rejecting that. Immediately we have to inform within 7 days. Usually within 7 days we have to inform and we have to return the item. Next is duty to take delivery. So whenever the items are delivered, it's our duty to take the delivery of the item. Next is duty to pay the price. You cannot say that cash is not there, change is not there, money. So we have so many convenient methods of payment now. Online payment is there, net payment is there, UPI, anything, scan and pay, all this possible. So it's your duty to make the payment. You cannot delay the payment because you're getting the item, you're getting the ownership. Seller has done his work. Now it's your duty to make the payment. Now the last duty is duty to pay damages for non-acceptance. Imagine seller has sent the item, some reason you are not accepting that, you are not available for few days, you are not accepting. So this your duty to pay the damages. See, if they are sending the item by courier, they have to send it by courier again, meaning the seller has to make the payment. So that damages, it's the duty of the buyer to make he has to bear the expenses. Damages, whatever seller will claim as the damages. See, for example, in the case of gas delivery also, gas cylinder, when they will come to deliver that, if the door is locked, they will charge extra. So that is, the customer has to bear that. So it's the duty of the buyer. So this is what I wanted to explain in this module. And with this module, we have completed the chapter Sale of Goods Act 1930. I hope that this module and the explanation was useful. Continue to share with others who are learning the subject so we can simplify and more students will get benefited. Thank you. Happy learning.